Hello, welcome back. Last week we spoke about what is AI in our last session of this week, rather. But this session today we are going to be talking about tech and ethics. Just because you can, should you? So, because you can do something does not mean that you should do it. And this session will help you understand that in technology, having the ability to do something does not always mean it is right. It is the right thing to do. We will look at what ethics mean, why it matters, how to make wise choices, the real life examples of both good and bad tech decisions, and the aim is to actually help you think before you create. And you can use this in any area, not even have to be limited to tech again. And it helps you think before you create, you use, or you share anything technology. And it will help you know the right questions to ask before making any decision. Yeah, and like I said, there are questions to ask, like saying, "Oh, is this safe? Is this fair? Is this helpful to everyone?" Those are the things that we are going to be looking at in this session. So, yeah, let's go along. First is our biblical anchor, which is First Corinthians chapter 10, verse 23. Everything is allowed, but not everything is helpful. And just like Paul was saying that some things may be okay to do, but they're not good for us or they're not even good for other people. In tech, the same ideas are possible to build but may harm people, communities, or even the whole world at large. So we need to make sure that whatever it is that we're doing as children of God, there are questions that we should ask. And I'm going to be walking you through these questions today. And you should be careful to make sure that things don't harm people and things don't even harm yourself. So let's break it down. What is ethics? I don't know if anyone has heard about the word tech ethics or ethics before. Ethics is about knowing the difference between right and wrong. So it is a big word, but it's just simply knowing the difference between good and bad. Remember the story of Adam in the Bible? Yeah, after eating that apple, he got the knowledge of good and evil. So, and then we all have a conscience living in us. So when you do something bad, you know that you have done something bad. And that's what ethics mean. So it means that when you're doing anything, you know the right side of it and you know the wrong side of it, and you choose to do the right side because you have the spirit of God inside of you. And if we leverage that back into tech, we see that when we are using technology, how do we use it ethically? How do we know the difference between what is right and what is wrong, and then choosing to do what is right? And that is what tech ethics mean, is knowing that, okay, is this thing safe for others, is it fair, is it respectful to others? And this is not just for big companies, it is for you as an individual, it is for me, it is for anyone who touches, uses, or creates anything around technology. So if you, for example, there are a few things that we can look at that can serve as ethics in everyday life. You can, for example, copying somebody's assignment versus doing your own. What is good and what is right and what is wrong. We know that doing your assignment, your own work, is actually the right thing to do, and copying somebody else's own work is the wrong thing to do. The second one is gossiping online versus protecting someone's privacy. Of course, protecting someone's privacy is the right answer, not gossiping online. That's the right thing to do in our daily life. You don't go about gossiping about people online or trying to damage them or bullying them online. Those things are wrong. The right thing is to protect people's privacy. The next example is playing fair in a game versus cheating to win. And we know that as children of God, we should always play fair in everything that we do. In games, we should not cheat. So, with all of these as ethics that show up in our day to day life, how do we relate these ethics to technology? How do you relate this to tech? In technology, these choices look like, instead of copying somebody's homework, we relate it to writing code. So if you are using someone else's code or designing without credit, those things are wrong. You are making the wrong decisions. Those choices are wrong decisions. If you are building an app that secretly collects people's personal data, you know that it is wrong. Those are bad ethics. If you are making features that keep people addicted instead of helping them, those things are equally as bad. So these are wrong ethics that we've seen in tech. These are ways where people have used wrong ethics in tech. And you see it where I said ethics also apply in our day to day life. It is very important. Ethics is about more than rules. It's about impact. It's asking, will this help people or will it hurt them? And choosing to help people rather than choosing to hurt them. So now I will go on to talk to you about why ethics matter. Well, why is it even important? Without ethics, technology can be very harmful. Even if the original idea was like exciting and like, oh, if I build this, my idea is good, my this is good, everything is fine. But without ethics, you will do the wrong things. There's a possibility that you will harm people rather than helping them. So I'm going to be giving you real examples so you can know the difference between ethical and unethical tech decisions. You can know, okay, when is something right, when is something wrong. We are going to be going through these examples one after the other. The first one is bad examples. I'll go through bad examples first, unethical examples, then I'll go through ethical examples. For an ethical example, the first one is Cambridge Analytica and Facebook. So millions of people's private information was taken without permission and used to influence elections. Imagine thinking your private chats are private, but they are not. So this is a story of a time when Cambridge Analytica collaborated with Facebook and took millions of data of people that were on Facebook, people that put their email address, phone number, their name, their age, their pictures, those are personal information that put it online. And without their permission, this data was collected by Cambridge Analytica and it was used to influence elections. This is a bad example. And of course, they were caught and they were sued for it. So we should always be very careful to not make use of people's private information in a bad way or without their permission. It can influence decisions in ways that we would not even think about. And yeah, the second bad example I will be talking about is YouTube Kids issue. These bad examples are things that have happened before in the past. Videos with ample content appeared in children's feed because no one checked carefully. So YouTube is a platform that takes houses different kind of videos all around the world. And at some point it was noticed that kids were looking at harmful content that were not created for them. And then when YouTube figured out this issue, they added a new feature that allowed creators or people that uploaded their products or their videos on YouTube to say if this video is for kids or not, so that they will know who they will show these videos to. So this is another example of unethical matters that has happened previously in tech and that has caused previous problems in the past because no one checked particularly. Imagine kids seeing oral content of people killing people. That would have been very, very, very bad. And imagine them seeing content that involved pornography or nakedness. That would have also been very bad. So it's very important that we make sure that anything we are doing is it ethical. And YouTube Kids issue was resolved because they had to check and people complained and then they had to check. The next example, which I'll be going on to, is cyberbullying platforms. And this is something that is very common today. Knowing that there are tons of social media platforms out there today, and people put out themselves out in social media, sharing content, giving advice, sharing their life experiences all around, we can see that there are apps that allow people to post anonymously, insult other people, leading to mental health problems. And now we have seen also that some people have corrected that where you cannot use a fake account or you cannot use an account that is not verified to actually post. And on Instagram, they've taken it a step further to check your content and if it's harmful, advise you against posting that. So it's very important that we do not bully people online on social. It's a very bad ethic to bully people online, to say mean things, wicked things to people online just because you cannot see them physically. These are things that happen every day. People committing suicide because of things that were said to them on social media. So this is a very bad ethic that you need to make sure that whatever you are building or in any way that you are using tech, you do not position yourself in this way and in this manner. Now I'll go on to talking about the good examples. One of the good examples is COVID-19 tracking apps. So during COVID, there were some countries that made apps that help people track the virus while protecting people's identity. You can track where the issue is, and then you know that okay, this is the how many of people that number of people that have been affected, this number of people that have gotten vaccinated, and all of that. Those kind of solutions were ethical and they protected people's identity. So they made sure that their apps were ethical enough, safe for people to use, making sure that their data was not out there. Another example of something good and ethical use of tech was Instagram's anti-bullying feature. Yeah, warning messages before pasting or posting harmful, hurtful comments. They've done this just to make sure that when you type your messages, you are intentional about it before posting and even banning people's accounts if they see that you are making hurtful comments and or you're making hateful comments towards somebody. The next good example is accessibility features on phones like tools like screen readers, voice control help people with disabilities use tech a lot more. So these examples actually help people that have disabilities. Things like they can use their phone. People that are blind can actually use their phone because all they have to do is to use a feature called screen readers. This is a very good ethic that has made the life of different individuals a lot easier. So whenever you are building your tech, it is very necessary that you can take steps online, you can take steps that have good ethics to make sure that you build your tech properly. So it matters because without ethics, tech can actually destroy trust, it can destroy privacy and even people's life. But with ethics, tech can solve real problems and make life a lot more better. I'm going to be talking you through three steps that you can use to check your ethics. So we call it three-step ethics check. Three steps ethics check. So whenever you're thinking to create or use technology, these are questions that you need to ask yourself. I'm going to use this as Joseph's example. Remember Joseph in when he was in Egypt, he had so much power because he was in charge of storing food, selling grains during the famine. He has built the tech. People were using it. His brothers, this was his opportunity to show off to them. He could have made the prices so high that only the rich could be able to afford the food. But he didn't. He used wisdom to make sure that there was enough for everyone, and that is good ethics. That even when his brothers came, his brothers that had done bad to him previously, even when they came, he had the wisdom to actually sell the food to them and even forgive them for the things that they have done for him. So that's ethic and having the power to do something, but choosing to use it in a way that helps people and not just yourself. I'm going to take that again. That having the power to do something, but then you choose to use it in a way that helps people, not just yourself. That is what ethics is about for us as Christians. Now, I'll continue my three-step ethics check whenever you want to create, post, do, or create anything. The first is stop and think. Don't rush into it. Pause and ask yourself, what could go wrong? With this thing I'm building, with those ideas that you have generated in your practical classes, what could go wrong? How could it affect somebody's life? How could it make a dent to the life of somebody? This is very important for you to always stop and check. Stop and think, rather. Stop and think. So the first one is stop and think. The second one is look around. Who might be affected? Friends? If it's your friends, be like, oh, no, my friends will not be affected. My family will not be affected. But strangers, would strangers be affected? People far away that you don't even know, is there an opportunity for them to be affected? Those are the next thing you should look around. And the last is to test it and ask, is it safe? Is it fair? Will it harm or help people? When you ask anything you want to do, is it safe? Is it fair? Will it harm people or will it help them? That's how to approach tech. That's how to build with good ethics and make sure that you are following ethics even as a child of God. Remember the story of Joseph? He has built it. He found how do we solve a problem right now in this age? He was able to go after it. He quickly built, let's build barns, let's store everything, let's make sure that food is ready even in the 7 years of famine. But he could do beyond that, which he did. And he went ahead to make sure that this food is available for everybody, whether the rich or the poor, whether the old or the young, whether people of Egypt or even people far away. And that is what it means to build ethically. You can go through the book of Genesis chapter 41 again to see how ethics to see ethics in action using the power of whatever he has built for good. Thank you so much for today's session. I look forward to seeing you next week where we'll be rounding off to this entire session. We'll be talking about what are the skills that stand you out if you're in tech. What are the things that you must know to do in tech? And how do you tell your tech story to anybody in the world? How do you put yourself out there and position yourself properly in tech? That is what we're going to be talking about. Thank you so much for this session. Please do well to go through your class activities. For example, one of the practical tests that we have today is you looking at your idea, the idea you have written down. How does it help people? Can it harm people? Asking those questions, doing your 3-step ethics check on all of your ideas is very important. Maybe I could do one or two ethics check for you before the end of this class. One is, for example, facial recognition in school. If you need for you to get into school, you need to check your face. Is it good? Yeah, it could improve safety and security. But what's the risk? You might collect too much personal data and track students unfairly. There might also be social media rating feature. Yeah, it might be seem as fun when you rate your social media, rate your classmates, but then you know that it's at risk of bullying. For somebody that has a low rating, unfair judgment, if you are rating people, not features again. You know that we rate apps online, but what is it that we are rating people? That is very wrong. Rating people is wrong because it can then lead to unfair judgment, low self-esteem, or can even lead to bullying. That's the risk. Imagine another example is a medical chatbot. A medical chatbot is good. You can quickly chat to somebody to get medical advice. But it can go wrong. If it goes wrong, it can harm people's health. So the truth is, ethics, yes, there's a good part and a bad part, the way I have spoken to you about it. Anything you're doing, always see measure the good part, measure the bad part, and always make sure that you are leaning towards good ethics. Again, I said I was going to end this class, but then there are sweet examples, very big things to always share with you. But then I'll see you in the next class. Thank you so much. Goodbye.